thank you very much for the introduction. I'm going to do something a little bit differently today. I just want to really focus on the technology itself and really highlight some of the applications that we are seeing gain some momentum to really kind of highlight the true scope and potential for this technology. So I'll jump straight into it. First, graphene. So who are we? We are a world-leading materials technology company. We are focused on the production of graphene and graphene-based materials. For anyone in the crowd who is not familiar with what graphene is, it is an allotropic carbon, as I just said. So we take graphite. And graphite is shown here in the top. Graphite is essentially millions of layers of graphene stacked on top of one another, and all we do is pull that apart to form what you see here in the right. Graphene in its purest form is an atomically thin layer of carbon atoms arranged in this honeycomb-like structure. Now, that's not so much as important. It's not really as important what graphene is. It's more important about what graphene can do. And some of the properties were just listed there in the introduction, and I've listed some down here at the bottom. So it is pound for pound the strongest material ever isolated. It is an excellent conductor, both electrically and thermally. It's impermeable even for elements such as helium. It is thin in its purest form. It is one atom thick, and it's the thinnest material ever isolated, and it is flexible. So it is an extremely durable, extremely well-rounded product, and all of the applications we are working on are focused on trying to harness one or more of these applications in one properties in one shape or form, basically. So PureGRAPH. PureGRAPH is our trademark product which we produce in our factory in Henderson. What we produce are large aspect ratio graphene nanoplatelets, so they are between 3 and 10 atoms thick and hold on to a lot of the properties that were listed in the original slide. So we have quite a flexible production process. We can produce a range of particle size options ranging from a 5 micron all the way up to a 70 micron, depending on the application requirements. It is available in a couple of different formats, dry powder, and aqueous paste. And it is also available in a few different intermediate products, so graphene master batches in plastics, rubbers, also a number of different liquid dispersions that we work with clients to get them something that is more easily adopted into their production process. There's a photo there of our factory. This is based in Western Australia, as I mentioned earlier. So we use an electrochemical process using pristine graphite ore mined from our mines in Sri Lanka. We basically, as an engineer, I describe it as a bit of a lazy way of producing graphene. We let nature do 99% of the work. It's already heavily ordered, heavily crystalline, and all we do is pull that apart. We have about 100 tonne per annum production capability currently, and the process has been designed to be modular. So what that allows us to do is rapidly expand, say up to 1,000 tonne quite quickly with minimum capex. All of our materials are registered under REACH and ACUS, which covers UK, Europe, Australia, and we're currently working through our EPA registration in the States at the moment. Now, the application potential of graphene is truly huge. If you've been on YouTube and inputted graphene, you will quickly go down that rabbit hole. So what we have done is focused on 4 main areas to better allocate our resources and stop us running in circles, basically. So the 4 main priorities for us are cement and concrete, energy storage and generation, composites and plastics, and case and foams. So jumping into cement and concrete, this is one of our priority segments purely because it represents the highest potential volume demand for graphene. Heavily driven by carbon savings. A couple of numbers worth noting in there is the cement and concrete industry is responsible for between 8 and 12% of global CO2 emissions, purely by a numbers game. There's 4 billion tonnes of concrete consumed annually, and it is the most consumed material other than water. So they are on an increasing pressure to reduce their overall carbon footprint, and there are a number of ways that they will have to address this, one of which is with green cement alternatives. Now that usually comes at a cost of performance, switching to a supplementary material, and that's where graphene comes into play. As a strength increasing additive, we are able to boost the performance of these green cement options so that they can increase their application range and just broaden their potential uses. The green cement industry itself is a growing industry. There's a number there down at the bottom that's worth noting. It's forecast to be worth around about 56 billion US by 2027, so it's quite exciting to be part of that. To give a bit of an update on our current position and scope of where we are currently working with Breedon Cement, which is the UK's largest cement producer. We have a collaboration agreement in place with them for the commercial scale adoption and evaluation and feasibility of graphene on these production scales. We have ran 2 industrial scale trials at the moment, all of which use a little over a tonne of graphene to run each trial, producing a couple of 1,000 tonne of graphene enhanced cements. We've been able to boost the performance of the green cement blend to be on par with the pure 100% ordinary Portland cement, which associates, for them, has a direct association with 15% reduction in carbon savings for that particular brand of cement. So that's a huge opportunity for us. We have our 3rd trial scheduled in for November. This is now focused more on pushing those performance increases further, but also focused mostly on an ease of adoption. So pumping methods just to easily apply graphene on their scale. So as I mentioned, cement for us is our largest potential volume, but that comes at a cost of margin. It's large volume, low margin applications. All of the other areas that we are working on switches that narrative. So if we move over to energy generation and storage, this becomes a lower volume demand, but significantly higher margin opportunities. Now, there's quite a few words in these next few slides, so I'm going to skip through them and just focus on a couple of key opportunities. The one on this slide worth noting is Great Cell Australia. This is an Australian producer of perovskite solar cells. Now, perovskites, if you're not familiar with the technology, is an alternative to silicon-based photovoltaics. Has a number of advantages over silicon. It's lightweight, it's flexible, and it is more efficient. It can harness more wavelengths of light. One of the downfalls of it currently is the cost of production. It uses a gold layer as a charge collector, and we have been able to, working with Great Cell, have been able to replace that gold layer with a conductive graphene coating. That is significant for them because removing the gold and replacing it with graphene has a reduction of just over 80% reduction in the overall cost to produce these perovskite cells. So that's huge for them to help bring this technology to the market using graphene as an enabler. Composites and plastics, there's a huge range of applications in this area. A couple of key applications that I really like at the moment, where we're getting a lot of attention, are things like thermally conductive polymers and electrically conductive polymers. These are largely driven by the EV market. Everyone's trying to increase efficiency, so you're looking for metal alternatives for things like heat sinks and anti-static parts that go in association with the EV market. Another one is similar to concrete, recycled plastics. People are trying to close the circle of life of most of these plastics and try and find reusable applications. And again, similar to concrete, that comes at a cost of performance. So we're using graphene to increase the application range in quite a few applications now. Case and foam, so this is things like coatings, elastomers, sealants, foams. A lot of crossover with the composite side of things. Some key areas are fire retardancy, so halogenated products are now being banned throughout the world for obvious reasons, and graphene is being used in combination with traditional non-halogenated fire retardants to really bridge that gap in performance. Another opportunity here are barrier properties, seeing a significant increase and momentum in the area of things like hydrogen storage using graphene and the permeability properties to just address some of the issues with the hydrogen market, such as storage. And this slide just highlights some of our distributor network. This has really been critical for us over the past 12 to 18 months to really broaden our commercial activities throughout the world. And these guys are fantastic because they have existing client bases, and they're also the people that clients come to if they have a problem or they have a new development that they are working on. So that's really opened up a lot of opportunities for us recently. And that's led to a growing pipeline of new opportunities that have gone through the initial evaluation, through the commercial scale evaluation, and now in those final stages of development. So listed here are a few opportunities that are close to, within the next couple of months to over the next 6 to 12 months being released. And you can really see a true range of where graphene is being used here. So starting from left to right there, we've got a sports apparel application. This uses graphene as a conductive coating to dissipate heat. We've got a PET packaging application which uses graphene to reduce the overall material demands. There's a recycled nylon application where they're using recycled nylons. They've used graphene to actually increase the performance to surpass the virgin polymer. So that opens a good opportunity. There's tapes being used for increased strength. We've got a couple of moisture barrier applications where graphene is being used in packaging. Bearing lubrication to increase the lifespan and durability of the components. There's anti-corrosion coatings, again harnessing those barrier properties of graphene. We've got an elastomeric waterproof coating, similar to a sealant, being installed recently. And there's a fire retardant construction material. So this is working with some companies in the UK on sustainable building materials, passing the building standards using graphene for strength and fire retardancy at the same time. So these are all really exciting. Like I said, some of these will be launched in the next couple of months, some of them over the next 12 months. But what is worth noting here is a lot of these opportunities, the clients are now working on the second and third application as a direct result of having that foot in the door. They've proved the concept on an initial application and now looking at other areas. A couple of key financial bits of information. This isn't really my area. All of this is available online. Sales are increasing. That's just as a direct increase of our commercial activities, and our cash burn is decreasing, so both looking in a positive direction. Now, our strategic growth focus and pathways moving forward. We are heavily focused on accelerating commercial opportunities. Obvious reasons. That can be very slow initially, but we're starting to see some good momentum, and it's becoming more of a self-sustainable exercise where clients are using previous experience to help guide the next generation of developments. We're also increasing our R&D operations. We're developing new product streams through enhancing different graphene materials. We're working with graphene oxide, metal decorated graphenes. That just opens our range of potential applications. So, a few key investment highlights just to finish up. We are a world-leading advanced materials supplier. We have an established global industry partnerships all around the world looking in different segments and different technologies. We have our world-class production capability here in Western Australia, and it has the potential to rapidly expand as needed. We have established our international customer base, and that is growing through the help of our distributor network. We're exploring new revenue streams, as I mentioned, about graphene oxide and new graphene-based materials, and we are working in traditional and emerging markets, heavily focused on decarbonisation. The majority of our projects come back to that in some way, shape or form. So I know I've just dumped a lot of information, probably too quickly, but please come and have a chat with me if you want to go into any more detail. Standard forward-looking statements and disclosure, and basically finishing up with a bit of corporate information.